And then my wife was actually expecting our daughter when we came here for our interview, or when I came for my interview, and that was in January, when I was still a graduate student. No, actually by that time I was visiting assistant professor at that school.
In terms of your work here, how important was it, or is it to have someone who was able to stay at home right when your children were born?
I think that was really significant. We were very lucky. We were just living on my salary, which is fine. You know, if you think about how many people would be so lucky as a family unit for 2 full-time workers to make what a starting assistant professor makes. It's not that much, and I'm not saying we're millionaires, but we're not struggling either. But we were able to buy a small house, and we lived in that house for 10 years, and we had almost no expenses. We don't live lavishly by any means. At the outset, if we both decided that we wanted to have expensive cars and new cars all the time, that type of lifestyle would not have been possible with one person working, and then we would have been disappointed. But in the big scheme of things, you have to decide what your priorities are.
I would love to have a wife, you know, and then if I did, it would be so much easier for me to do my scholarly work and come and you know, be with the children as much as I could, but feel that they were being taken care of and parented and mothered, you know, by a spouse. And I think it's an interesting phenomenon. The faculty wife used to be a much different identity position, you know, years ago, and now it's less likely, but still kind of something people struggle with. Well, if you have a two-career family, 2 professors who have children, who's the primary caregiver? Are you really sharing it equally? Are you really, you know, I know that there are plenty of men who are really good parents and really spend a lot of time with their children, but I absolutely think that our culture still is more supportive of the man who thinks he can have a career and a family, and, you know, both, than of the woman who thinks she can have a career and a family, both.
Have you ever heard of the term mommy tracking? I guess it's this term, and I'm part of another study. I think it's University of North Dakota and the University of Missouri. But these women are looking at this notion of mommy tracking. So it's basically when you get or mothers are sort of granted, or parents are sort of granted certain concessions at work, like shortened hours, or a lot of times daycares will require that you have to be there at 5 o'clock, or you're charged by the minute, or they'll call social services, or whatever. And so if there's a late meeting or something like that, and this isn't something that I've heard of as much in higher education, but more so in like business professions and that kind of stuff. So if you would have to leave a staff meeting at 5 o'clock to go get your child, you know, they may say that's fine, but they grant you these concessions, but then at the end you're sort of not considered for things like promotion, or you're not as considered as other candidates who don't have children. So they say this mommy tracking notion is this idea where you get concessions, but you aren't considered for sort of moving up the ladder. And so that's an interesting thing too. And I don't know if it's like I say, I've never been through it, so maybe that's something that people are sort of concerned about, that may be a consideration. But I'm guessing because of the rigorous, or how rigorous the tenure process is, I'm guessing that's why people wait. Because like I say, it completely changes your life whether you like it or not.
So what are some of the main things that the college looks at when they're about to tenure or potentially tenure a professor?
The tenure criteria are spelled out very nicely in the blue pages of faculty manual. They are excellence in teaching, an emerging pattern of research, service to the college, committee service, etc., and sympathy with the mission of the college. And it's on those 4 tenure criteria, which we are always told that are weighed equally, on which people are given tenure or not given tenure.
Do you feel the faculty schedule is conducive to having extra commitments outside of work?
Like children, or
like
children,
committees? Like if you have to take care of a parent, something like that.
The nice thing about the job, and this is one of the things that drew me to this profession, is the flexibility. and especially at Gustavus, there's a great deal of flexibility, and I appreciate that about this job. I appreciate, especially about my department, and that varies from department to department, I know. But in my department, I can pretty much, with very little checks, set my own schedule.
I would say yes, it is, if only because our schedules mesh, if you think about it, because most times, so from 5 to 18 years of age, most times children of professors are going to be in school at the same time that professors are teaching school. So that's wonderful.
It is really hard, those late afternoon meetings are really hard because they go across the childcare time zone. So if we're going to meet at 4 or 4:30, it's just too late to have her still in the first daycare. But then where's she going to go for the hour and a half that mommy needs to be at this other thing?
Is there something that Gustavus and other colleges could do to make taking care of dependents, whether it be a parent or children, easier?
Daycare on campus would be fabulous, because that's the biggest thing, and it's partly because we live an hour away, but just being able to have him here would be nice. So if he's sick, I can be there closer, or I could go over and have lunch. I know Mankato has daycare on campus. I also know that it's really hard to get into.
I honestly think the college should have college-sponsored daycare on campus. It would be a really neat way in which we could involve students in the education department who are doing early childhood education. It would provide a service not only for Gustavus faculty and Gustavus staff, but it would also provide a service for the community.
One thing that I'm surprised that we don't have here is a preschool. It seems like a pretty natural thing for the college to invest in. Daycare facilities are sorely lacking in St. Peter. It's very hard to find daycare for young children. It's hard to find after-school care sometimes, and we have enough space where it would be pretty easy to have a preschool for children of faculty and staff, or even of students, because we do have students that have children.
If there are required kinds of meetings for committee work or for faculty meetings, to have some kind of childcare available for that hour and a half.
Given our education program at Gustavus, and also given some other disciplines in the academic departments at Gustavus, it would seem like a no-brainer that we should have a child care center of some sort on campus. We have developmental psychology people. We are building a brand new building. We could have done it, I think, in some place like Linner Lounge. We could have a drop-off or a scheduled daycare center, because every so often people just don't know what to do about daycare. And if you aren't on a plan, like where you're going to have a scheduled daycare provider and you need some place to drop off your kid, who the heck knows where you're bringing your kids? Well, APO, which is a social service organization, every year they used to have, right around Christmas time, a free babysitting night. And my wife and I still remember this. We brought our kids there. It was great. These great Gustavus college students from all different majors and whatever else, they were over in the interpretive center, and they had a great time. Another time they were over in Linner Lounge. That was the next year. They did this. I don't see it anymore. Maybe it's happening, and maybe because I don't have kids that age, I'm not getting the word of it, or I just don't really, look for it. But that was a great opportunity, and they had so much fun, and they were interacting with kids from different ages. But that would be so great if we converted part of our campus into that.